What's going on, everyone? It is the Derf, and today I'm going to be bringing you an original void-specific build that grants you crazy amounts of super energy, allowing you to spam your super in any kind of heavy enemy activity. This is a super fun build, pun intended, and for those that love using your super on a more than normal frequent basis, you're going to love this build. You don't need prismatic in order to run it, although I am going to do a future video for prismatic with this build with different things selected. But for now, the original void only build will get you a spammy super in any kind of activity or list of activities where you're going to be coming up against a lot of enemies. So, if you are looking for that kind of build, this is the video for you. As always, if you find anything helpful with this video, or you know someone who loves their super and loves void and wants to throw it more, this is the video. I hope you share with them. But if not, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, I'm going to be making a second part to this video, which is going to be a prismatic version. So stick around for that. But without further ado, let's get on into it. So as I said before, I'm going to be running Strict Void Walker. As far as the super goes, you're going to be using Nova Bomb Cataclysm. Now you can use Nova Bomb Vortex if you want, but Cataclysm works way better because of the explosion and the Seekers that spawn afterwards. So that's the one you're going to want to use. For the abilities, the Rift doesn't matter. I always use Healing Rift. Burst Glide is just what I prefer, although a lot of people love Blink. Pocket Singularity, really the only option. And for this one, the Vortex Grenade. I like the grenade that pulls the enemies inward and continuously damages them that are trapped inside. But you can use whichever one you want. I just really like the Vortex Grenade. As far as aspects go, Chaos Accelerant. Press and hold to overcharge your grenade, making it deadlier and more effective. That includes Vortex Grenade, Axion Bolt, Scatter Grenade, and Magnetic Grenade. So whichever one that you prefer the most, like I said, I prefer Vortex. That's the one that I use. But equip the grenade that will fit inside of this, and it will make it a more powerful version of itself as you use it. Second aspect is Feed the Void. Defeating a target with a Void ability activates Devour, and the Devour effects are improved, restoring additional health and grenade energy. And that's going to be key. As long as Devour is active, you get that bump to health, and you get that bump to grenade energy regeneration. As far as fragments go, this is where some debate can come up, but absolutely you're going to want Echo of Undermining. Your Void Grenades weaken targets. That is the whole point of having Chaos Accelerant on. It does give you a -20 to Discipline. Again, you're going to want to make sure that Devour is procced because you're going to make up for that grenade energy as long as you have Devour going. If you don't have Devour going and you want to make sure to maximize your grenade regeneration, you're going to want to try to max out Discipline at a T10. Echo of Starvation. Picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. This one, above every single other one, is going to be non-negotiable. You need to make Orbs of Power, and you need to have Devour as often as possible. Getting that Orb of Power or picking up that Void Breach will ensure that you are constantly running it. And Echo of Persistence. Void buffs applied to you, Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour have increased duration. So those two are going to go hand in hand. Persistence and Starvation. This one, Echo of Expulsion, this is just personally what I like. Void ability, Final Blows cause targets to explode. You can switch this one out with Remnants if you want, Lingering Grenade effects, or you can switch it out with... Where is it here? Echo of Harvest. Defeating a weakened target creates an orb of power and a void breach. But I like the explosions. I like to see more purple on my screen. So this is how I've got the class built. As far as stat distribution goes, now you know me, I typically have two 100s and a, like an 80 or a 90 or possibly a third 100 in most of my builds. In this one, it's a little bit difficult to achieve that. Also, I overshot resilience just based on what I've got for the armor. But at minimum, you want to have a T8 in discipline and intellect, of course, if you prefer to have strength for your melee. You can max it out, get that T8 or T9 in strength, and leave the intellect at an all-time low. Because as you're going to see, you're going to be getting your super back extremely quickly, regardless of what the intellect is set at. But I prefer to have it as fast as possible. So as time progresses, I will reshape my armor and hopefully get this to a T10 as well as this to a T10. But for now, I overshot resilience a little bit. That wasn't really intended. It's just kind of how it worked. But where these are at now, your return on investment is going to be absolutely worth it. As far as the build goes, I'm going to start with armor. This build is going to center around Skull of Dire Ahamkara. The key here being provides additional damage resistance during Nova Bomb. Nova Bomb final blows and weapon final blows while you have Devour grant super energy. All those things that I just went over in your fragments is going to stack with Skull of Dire Ahamkara. So what you're going to want to do is while you have this equipped, you're going to want to make it so that you are constantly producing orbs. Since I have a void specific class, I have all void energy and power weapon. I make sure to put on that harmonic siphon in case I get a rapid kill with either one of those, as well as a kinetic siphon, which I'm going to go over with here shortly for my primary. Always have that heavy ammo finder on, and like I said, you can see how I have the mods in this, but however your armor is, get the gist of the build down first, and then you can start modding it however you prefer. As far as the gauntlets go, I have Kinetic Loader, which I realize takes away 3 of my energy available for the armor. I took advantage of a buff for discipline, and then one of the more necessary mods is going to be the Firepower mod. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power. The reason for this is because of Devour, you're going to be getting your grenade energy back very fast. So you want to be able to use it as often as possible to get that orb of power and refresh your Devour countdown. The other one I have is Heavy-Handed. Your powered melee final blows create orb of power. This I'm taking advantage of the artifact perk, which I'll get to in 1 second. But once this goes away, the artifact goes away, I'll be switching this out for probably fastball so I can throw my grenade even further. With the chest armor, you're going to want a mod for the damage resistance that you've got coming in whatever activity that you're working on. And then with reserves, you're going to want to use the reserve mods that have to do with the energy and heavy weapons that you're running. Since I'm running all void, I just put on harmonic reserves. But as you can see, I've got enough energy left over. Since I'm only running a +3 discipline mod or a +10 discipline mod, I can put any of these other ones on here depending on if I want to proc for the surge of the current week. With the leg armor, pretty straightforward. I have harmonic scavenger on this one. This one's a little bit more budget unfriendly, if you will. If you are running something for the surge of the week and it happens to not be void, you're going to have to sacrifice one of these absolutions to put on a, let's just say, arc scavenger, solar scavenger, or whatever. You can't deviate from the Nova Bomb, which means that the harmonic scavenger is only going to apply for void. So if you do find yourself running different energy and heavy weapons from your equipped super, which is your Nova Bomb, you're going to need to budget for that in this. But as of right now, I'm able to put on double absolution and get a nice bump to my discipline in the build that I have right now. But harmonic scavenger, you want to be able to pick up more ammo reserves every brick that you pick up, whether it's special or heavy. For the class item, font of restoration is going to be non-negotiable, at least for me in this build, because as you can see, my recovery is the lowest it's ever been in any one of my build videos at a T1. So if you are in the same situation, you're going to want to make sure you put font of restoration. Now, you're going to get a bonus to kind of your efforts because you're going to be producing so many orbs of power that your font of restoration is actually going to max you out at a T10 after about 3 orbs picked up. And because there's a cooldown, you're constantly going to be refreshing it. So it is a little bit sweaty if you are not seeing enemies very often and you are constantly waiting and waiting for your health to recover. But in this particular instance, it's not going to be a huge issue until I run into like ultra hard, higher end game content. Always put on Reaper. You want to be able to get that orb of power when you do use your class ability. And I've always got, at least for this one, I've got Bomber attached as well. Reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. Again, I want to get my grenades back as fast as possible. My discipline isn't exactly where I want it to be right now, but honestly, it's not going to affect too much, as you'll be able to see. For weapons, your primary add clear weapon and all of that is going to have to be Bad Juju. Now, Bad Juju has the intrinsic trait of String of Curses. Kills refill the magazine, increase damage for a short duration, and grant super energy based on the strength of String of Curses. Fires full auto. The reason you want to use Bad Juju is String of Curses pairs with your bonus super energy that you get while you have Devour. And with the way that Devour works, it is a buff to you as the character, which allows you to put out more damage regardless of what weapon you're using. So if you use Bad Juju, you're going to be able to generate an insane amount of super energy. So if you haven't picked this one up in a while, if you haven't maxed the catalyst out in a while, your String of Curses duration extends to, I believe it's 8 or 10 seconds at full. I always forget to look down in the left-hand corner when it procs, and usually when I do it's at 5, but I know that it's actually more than that. So 5 to 10 seconds is the cooldown, which means any kill that you get is going to boost your String of Curses buff, which means you're going to get that super energy and pair it together with kills while you have Devour activated. For my energy weapon, again, I'm running a full Void build. I've got Nessa's Oblation, Reconstruction, and Vorpal. I'm only busting this out to deal with barrier champs or champs that are, for some reason, blocking all my shots with their shield. I get the Unstoppable rounds with this for the current seasonal artifact, although when it changes, I obviously will have to adapt to the situation once the new season drops in a few months. And then finally, Edge Transit. I have auto-loading holster and bait and switch. This thing is a monster. You can see I've got almost 1,000 kills on this, which is not that much for most people, but I mainly only bust this out for champs and bosses. So if you put that into perspective of how many kills I've got, I've used this quite a bit. You can also pair this with a rocket launcher. I've got a Faith Keeper with auto-loading and bipod, but the bait and switch bonus of 30% is pretty insane, and I melt these champs when they spawn when I use Edge Transit in the bait and switch rotation. For the artifact, I was talking about the melee mod on my gauntlets earlier. This is the mod that you need in order to drop that normally 3 energy perk to 1 energy. Authorized mods melee. The armor energy costs of all armor mods affecting your melee are significantly discounted. So if you come over here, I'm going to show you real quick. Heavy-handed, momentum transfer, and focusing strike are all 1 energy. That is not the case. Usually heavy-handed is 3 energy, and momentum transfer is generally 2 energy. So they're all discounted to 1, which is how I'm able to fit this in here, as well as have a kinetic loader in here with firepower and a discipline mod booster. If this was not the case, I would probably just drop the kinetic loader. I just want to be able to keep firing as fast as possible, so I feel like it's worth it. With the rest of the setup, you're going to need anti-barrier shotgun and, of course, unstoppable pulse rifle. Those are non-negotiable. Fell the Revenant, you're going to get that increased weapon damage to Scorn. Killing Breeze, rapid weapon final blows grant you a bonus to mobility. I've got Hail the Storm on here. If you see my other build videos for this season, you know this is kind of a gamble. It doesn't matter who shatters the crystal as long as you shatter the crystal, or who makes the crystal as long as you shatter the crystal. Debilitating Wave, finishers emit a damaging wave. First time, and then Curative Orbs is a good one. First time you break an enemy's shield, you create an orb of power. So in an onslaught activity, which is what I'm going to demonstrate this in, you're going to be breaking shields and getting bonus orbs just for breaking a shield of enemies. So this requires you to be pretty aggressive in order to keep all of your buffs working at once. Lastly, Served Cold, picking up a Void Breach grants you melee energy. And of course, Supernova, picking up a Void Breach causes your next source of Void damage to create a large weakening pulse. Now, I won't have a lot of Void Breaches with this build, which is why I went over the different fragment options. However, in the event that you get a rapid kill with your shotgun or your grenade launcher, or if you have different weapons equipped that are void, this will pair nicely with what you're trying to do, which is spam your super. So that is the overall build of the Void Warlock that I was telling you about for the super spam idealist ultra build, let's just call it. I'm at a loss for words, and you're going to see why. I actually did the test video before I made this build video just to verify that I wasn't crazy. In a regular 10-wave onslaught, I was able to drop 12 supers by playing no differently than I normally do in any of my other videos. The reason this is significant is because I'd be lucky to get half of that in just about all of my other videos, with the exception of if I'm running dealer's choice weapons. So, if you are not familiar with Skull of Dire Ahamkara, it is time to start farming that. I got a pretty decent roll. I could have gotten a little bit better roll. Instead of having strength so high, I was hoping it got dumped into discipline, but I'm not going to complain. My stats, again, normally most of my builds are at least double 100s, or some of them are triple 100s, but 80 would be the minimum you want your stats to be to get a significant boost on return for all of the effort you're going to be doing. Anything less than that, it's going to feel like you're trying to overwork yourself more than you already are going to be. But this is going to require you to be an aggressive player and make sure you are swapping through your abilities. And this is one of those builds where once you get your super, you do not have to wait for that champ if you don't want to. Use it on all the bad guys, get more bonus orbs of power for yourself, as well as your allies, and every super that you drop is going to give you energy back based on the number of kills. So if you drop your super into a wad of enemies, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 of them, all kind of in relatively close proximity together, that super bar is going to skyrocket so fast. If you blink, you might just get your super back. And it literally will go like that in certain situations. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to cut this video and I'm going to switch over to the build test video that I made before making this actual build video. I'm going to count out each super that I throw. You're going to see how I throw it and where I throw it, so you don't have to worry about getting it back too slowly. You can keep throwing it down as you get it. And I'm also going to let the final boss room of the onslaught run so you can see how many supers I get in that beyond the given raid banner that you drop before it starts. So again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for all your support. hopefully you guys are having a good holiday season. I know it's that time of year again. Hopefully you guys are being safe out there, those that live in a nice cold climate like myself. But otherwise, I appreciate all your support. So please check out. I'm going to make a different version of this video probably next week. I would imagine that is a prismatic version. It's going to be tweaked a little bit different than this. So stick around for that. Like and subscribe if anything did resonate with you, or please share it with someone who's looking for a good warlock build. I actually shared this with one of my clan members the other day, and he was absolutely blown away that it worked for him so well. And he is by no means a sweaty player. And to be honest, I'm not really that much of a sweaty player either. I just really like building. So, and that's what keeps me going. So I'm going to switch over to it now. Again, thank you guys all for your support, and we'll see you next time.